For master's level, there's two modules that I teach. One is services marketing, and services marketing in master's level is really looking at the idea of the gaps model framework. So that looks at, well, if you're delivering at each stage of a service, what kind of gaps might there be and what causes those gaps? So it's drawing heavily on that research idea, but it's looking at, for example, how maybe managers don't necessarily understand how they should be delivering their service. They don't necessarily understand what the consumer wants or how the employee is experiencing delivering the service. So we look at it from all aspects. We look at it from the point of view of customer expectations, their perceptions around performance, employee behaviour. We look at it in terms of the actual process of the delivery of the service, and then we try and identify where all those gaps might be. So what we do is, once we've studied that theory, there's an assignment usually around understanding consumer attitudes about a particular service. So we have done this with a lot of companies, particularly local SMEs, where maybe they're trying to figure out how would you actually figure out whether the service is going well or not. And the students have conducted a lot of research where they have looked at attitudes, maybe online or offline, around the delivery of that service, and then tried to figure out, well, now that we understand that theory, what does this tell us about maybe how this company could revise their service offering, or maybe just make a small change to the delivery of the service, and that might be very effective. So for instance, we had a project looking at restaurants. So restaurants are a service, and it looked at the idea that sometimes people cancel reservations without actually doing so. They just don't turn up. And so if a restaurant is dealing with that, obviously from a yield management point of view, that's not ideal. So how would the restaurant cope with that? So the students went off and did some work with consumers and talked to them and came back with suggestions about how restaurants could cope with this issue, which is a very real issue at the moment.